It's definitely great to be back. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin this afternoon as suits from the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party resumes today at the Presidential Election Tribunal sitting in Abuja. Last week, the Presidential Tribunal adjourned sitting to enable the prosecuting counsel respond to the request of the All Progressives Congress to dismiss the People's Democratic Party suit. Now, counsel to the APC and INEC had argued that the PDP's petition did not comply with the requirement for the admission of the election petition. We'll talk to our correspondent who's covering the tribunal for us at the tribunal in Abuja a little later on. But let's move to another story where the presidency, they responded to the outrage from its plans to provide a Ruga settlement for the migrant pastoral families. Now, in a statement from the media assistant to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu, he explains that the Ruga settlement is not just for cattle herders, but a resettlement plan which would accommodate animal farmers and settle them in organized places with provisions of necessary and also adequate basic amenities. According to the press statement released, the federal government is planning this in order to curb open grazing of animals that continue to pose security threats to farmers and herders. The statement further reads that the overall benefit to the nation will include a drastic reduction in conflict between herders and farmers, a boost in animal protection, job creation, access to credit facilities, security for pastoral families, and curtailment of cattle rustling, and many others. And while that statement has come from the presidency, the Plateau Youth G17 and Association of Middle Belt Ethnic Nationalities, they've described the proposed Ruga settlement initiative by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture as a means of displacing indigenous people from their ancestral lands, rather than the government ensuring lasting peace and stopping attacks on farming communities by attackers. At different meetings by the groups, they unanimously agree that establishing the proposed settlements in the state are not welcome, with the appeal to the state and federal government to review the decision.
To youths, we firmly caution the government and the people of Plateau State concerning this move by the federal government, as we strongly believe this plan is tilted towards favoring a particular ethnic group above others in a country which belongs to us all. We see this as an act to displace indigenous natives from their ancestral lands and settlements under the guise of government scheme aimed at ensuring lasting peace and stopping the attacks on farming communities by the Fulani headsmen.
The federal government to rescind its decision because the community is going to be affected by the Ruga settlements were not consulted. There are laws in this country. The Constitution of Nigeria says the allocation of land has to be done by state governors. The federal government has not done that. We hear of lands being donated. A governor has no right to donate somebody's ancestral land. So this association is saying no, because the scheme has not been made known to us, and also we can read deep meanings into it.
Well, in the meantime, the Benue State House of Assembly, they have condemned in strong terms the federal government's plans to establish Ruga settlements in the country. Addressing journalists at a media briefing in Makurdi, the Speaker, Mr. Titus Uba, says that the federal government has no constitutional powers to allocate land for the establishment of the Ruga Fulani settlements, because Benue State government can only give land for ranching and not for the initiative. Therefore, the 9th Benue State House of Assembly as a parliament condemned in totality plans by an individual group of the federal government to allocate any portion of land within the Benue territory for such project, instead supporting the full implementation of the Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranchers Establishment Law 2017, as ranching, they say, remains the global best practice.